Hello my friends, my name is Tim Johnson. I want to talk today a little bit about opiate addiction because it's a massive subject, but I want to perhaps give you a bit of a hope, if you like, if you're stuck in the midst of it at the moment, and also give you a little bit of information where you can find some help if you are, or if you know someone that is. I predominantly, certainly over the last year, have talked about alcoholism and alcohol addiction on the channel. But those of you who know the channel who've been sort of subscribed for quite a while will know that I was heavily addicted to opiates for quite a lot of years. And eventually, thank God, found a way out. And the reason I'm making this video is because I'm coming across more and more people are contacting me with issues around opiate addiction. And I think there's lots of reasons for that, but I mean the deterioration of people's mental health, certainly around what's happened with COVID and the anxiety around the situation in the world at the moment is certainly contributing to all of that. It's hard. Life is hard at the moment for a lot of people. The cost of living crisis, making ends meet. They're looking for any form of comfort. The problem lies in the fact that our brains are set up to, want reward, if you like. And basically, the reward chemical is dopamine. When you're prescribed pain pills, for instance, opiate pain pills, and Big Pharma, certainly in the 90s and 2000s, was responsible for pushing this new brand of pain pills, if you like hydrocodone, OxyContin, Percocet, all of these things, strong opiate painkillers, onto doctors to prescribe, and information wasn't given to people around the dangers around addiction. For me, in the 90s, late 90s, I was going through a bad time with my mental health, basically. But I also had a lot of back pain, which wasn't helping matters. And I remember going to the doctors and being, without any question at all, certainly in those days, I was prescribed the equivalents of sort of oxycodone immediately for my back. Then, of course, when I took them, they gave me this massive feeling of euphoria, this warm hug, which you can't really put it into words. Those of you who've experienced it will know that feeling. And basically, all is right with the world, the boost of energy, you name it. This feeling of being wrapped in cotton wool and giving a loving hug. Felt it, and there the problem lies, because you can never replicate that first time that you use opiates, but you'll go chasing it from that period onwards until you become totally dependent on it. The problem lies in the fact that what opiates do is give you this massive rush of dopamine. As you take more and more to try and replicate that first high, sit on the receptors in your brain, and your brain produces less and less dopamine. It's being replaced by the opiates instead that sit on the receptors, till eventually you're totally relying on the opiates for that feeling of being well, and you need to take more and more and more because you're not getting any dopamine, and thereby you're hooked, you're addicted to opiates. The frightening thing is it happens so quickly. Within a couple of weeks, you're going to have problems if you're susceptible to it. Not everyone is. I mean, there's people. I'm not saying. I mean, people who are in severe pain and obviously need to take strong painkillers to cope with severe pain, and take them as prescribed, then that's perfectly all right, and you obviously need to do that. The problem lies with those people who are like myself, who were susceptible to addiction anyway, that are looking for that warm hug, that are probably having some mental health problems, that are struggling to survive, maybe even, certainly at the moment with cost of living and what's going on in the world and what happened with COVID and all of these things, are pushing people to seek comfort. Doctors are much more cautious these days, but in America still now, because fentanyl has been flooded into the market, because your use of opiates, well, if the doctor's not giving them, then you start to seek them illegally. It costs a lot of money, obviously, and it leads on to stronger and stronger and stronger opiates until before you know it, you're smoking heroin, and maybe then onwards to injecting heroin. And obviously the dangers around fentanyl at the moment, because a grain of that, like a couple of grains of salt can kill you. And the equivalent of a jumbo jet's worth of people crashing and dying is happening in America every single day. I mean, it's happening all over the world, but I'm just using the statistics in America as an example. And that's really scary. And also, you see, I meet more and more people, particularly ladies who are, sort of housewives who are sort of working and have children, have good homes, not struggling, because people have this vision of people on street corners injecting drugs and stuff. Well, opiate addiction, it's not like that. I mean, I know for me, when I couldn't get hold of opiates, from the doctor, because by this time I was abusing my prescriptions terribly, and they were starting to notice. Then I started going to chemists and buying Nurofen Plus tablets, which is a tablet you get in England, which is ibuprofen and codeine, but more codeine than any other tablet. And of course, the chemist asks you and warns you about addiction with these tablets. And they're expensive for 32 tablets. I think they're about £9. And I had a list of chemists within the area, because eventually chemists stopped serving me. And this is when I couldn't buy stuff illegally. And I mean, by this time the doctor was prescribing me morphine sulfate tablets, because I'd escalated my want and lying about my back pain. And it's absolutely awful how it progresses. It gets a grip of you, this is my belief, faster than any other addiction. It takes over everything. It takes everything from you so much faster. I mean, I've suffered from, a fair few addictions, if you like. I mean, alcoholism in particular, and that robs you of everything in your health and everything, obviously. But it happens so much faster with opiates, and shopping for them is exhausting and expensive, and you start to sell things. I mean, eventually, I was in a great job and beautiful family and everything, and I sold everything just to be buying opiates every day, just to get me through. And I wasn't even taking them eventually to get high or feel any euphoria, because that was gone ages ago. I was taking them to stave off withdrawal and try and stay well. And that was every few hours it was coming on me, and I'd start to feel the sweats, the shakes, the horrible anxiety and all the pain, everything that comes with opiate withdrawal, which is awful, and eventually it becomes untenable, and it'll either take everything and kill you, or you need to do something about it. And that's the purpose of this video, really. On this channel, there's a lot of videos about opiate withdrawal, about Suboxone, because I was on Suboxone for a couple of years, and a lot of people don't agree with maintenance therapy, methadone and Suboxone, because it's hard to come off. But if you're managed properly and you reduce very, very, very slowly, it can be an essential part of your recovery. And let me just say that, I'm not condoning it. This is just my opinion. It just gives you a breathing space and stops you having to chase after drugs, because it just takes away the cravings. Suboxone in particular is excellent because it has naloxone in it. So if you are tempted to take opiates, it'll knock you straight into withdrawal. So that's a deterrent. But the buprenorphine in the Suboxone sits on those receptors and just stops cravings. You don't get any euphoria if you use them properly. It just stops any cravings, and you can start to live your life and get reorganized. That's just one option. There's video on it on the channel, but I just want to point you towards some of the other video. There's loads of videos on opiates on my channel here, and other channels as well. I'm not just saying mine, but it's been a learning process, so that you'll see the progress in them. And the opiate withdrawals, there's some really detailed ones on opiate withdrawal, how to go through it, how to set yourself up for it, to do it on your own if you want to, and how to prepare and how to get through it, and what to do when you get to the other side, and how to start living your life again. They're all on here. Have a look through. There's also pause videos, post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which is can be an issue for a year or so after, because your brain heals. Your brain's amazing, because this dopamine release system will heal, and dopamine will start to be produced, but it happens quicker for some people than others, and that can be really demotivating. And a lot of people go back to using because that they feel so low, and the anxiety's high and stuff. But if you manage pause properly, it can be managed. There's a video on the channel about that as well, and about living your life free of opiates. Essentially, the reason I'm making this is because so many people have contacted me lately, and it's worrying because, as I say, people are, particularly English people, where you can go and buy this stuff in the chemist, are losing their families and their health and their lives because of it, very quickly, because of the worry and anxiety around. And you can't, it's not like alcohol, because you can't, if opiate addicts, because you're lying, it's absolutely exhausting, but you don't smell it on people's breath, or, like alcohol, you don't, unless you're looking for it, you know what you're looking for, like the pinned eyes and and various slurring, and the sleepiness and the nodding and all the rest of it, if you go too far with it. An opiate addict can sort of manage their lives essentially without anyone noticing, because I did it for ages. And I'm not condoning that, but it's a fact. But it's exhausting, and the freedom you feel when you come out of all that rubbish, and that is intense. And I just want to give you some hope, if you like, if you're watching this and you're stuck in the middle of it, because you can get out of it. It's a long time since I've taken opiates now, and my life is the freedom I feel, and the extra money I've got in my pocket, and my family, and what I've got back into my life again can be achieved, and at any age, because it was I was in my mid-50s when I stopped heavily for the last time, and I'm 62 now, and it can be done at any age, whatever situation you're in, however you feel there's no hope, or there is hope, because there's help out there. So, in England, I know you can contact your local community drugs team if you can, and if you want maintenance therapy and stuff like that. But speak to your doctor first, tell him the truth, be honest, open up, and wherever you are in the world this is, tell him it starts with you asking for help. It starts from you admitting that you're powerless and you need help. And once you've done that and you want help and you seek it, then there's a road out, and it takes, yes, it does take time, but it can be achieved by any one of you out there. So there you go. Have a look at the videos on the channel. Please subscribe and like the videos. It just means that one or two people, more people will see them, and perhaps we'll get some help from my experiences. Carpe Diem, the motto of the channel. Seize the day today. Make today the day you change your life. Much love. Bye-bye.